Taejin hit the ground hard. Again. The training mat did nothing to soften the impact. His whole body hurt. Above him, the simulation instructor's voice echoed through the combat arena. Failure. Time 8 seconds. Cadet Taejin. You lasted 8 seconds against a basic training simulation. Children from most species complete this test in under 2 minutes. Taejin pulled himself up slowly. His arms shook. Around the arena, other cadets watched. Some looked away. Others laughed. A few just shook their heads. He was used to it by now. 3 months at the Galactic Union Military Academy, and every day felt the same. Struggle, fail, get mocked, repeat. The Academy sat on an orbital station above Velcaris Prime, a fortress world where only the strongest warriors trained. Cadets came from dozens of alien species. Most stood over 7 feet tall. Most had claws, fangs, armor plating, or extra limbs. Most were born predators on their homeworlds. Taejin was human. 5 feet 9 inches, 150 pounds, no claws, no armor, no natural weapons at all, just soft skin, weak muscles, and a brain that got him accepted to the Academy through test scores alone. Move aside, human. The voice came from behind. Taejin turned to see Kale, a Tharnki warrior who stood almost 7 feet tall. His species evolved as apex hunters, sharp claws extended from his fingers. His eyes glowed amber in the arena lights. You are embarrassing yourself. More importantly, you are wasting our training time. I have as much right to be here as you do, Taejin said quietly. His voice did not shake even though his legs wanted to. Kale laughed. It was not a nice sound. Right? You have no right. Your species are prey animals who learn to use tools. You do not belong among warriors. Before Taejin could respond, another cadet stepped between them. Dabin was human too, one of only 3 at the Academy. She was in her final year and built like she could break rocks with her bare hands. She probably could. That is enough, Kyle, Dabin said. Her voice was flat, dangerous. Kale backed off, but his eyes stayed on Taejin. One day, human, your protector will not be here. We will see what you are really made of. He walked away to the training equipment, his claws clicking on the metal floor. Dabin turned to Taejin. Her expression was hard. You need to do better. Every time you fail, it makes all humans look weak. I am trying, Taejin said. Try harder. Combat trials are in 2 weeks. If you fail those, they will expel you. And honestly, maybe that would be better for everyone. She walked away without waiting for a response. Taejin stood alone in the middle of the arena. Other cadets trained around him. A Vrakan with 4 arms lifted weights that would crush a human. A Sylvari practiced knife work so fast her hands blurred. Everyone here was stronger, faster, deadlier than him. Maybe they were right. Maybe he did not belong. That night Taejin could not sleep. His body ached too much. At midnight he gave up and headed to the cafeteria. The station ran on 26-hour cycles, so the cafeteria never really closed. A few late-shift workers sat in corners, but mostly the huge room was empty. Taejin grabbed a meal pack and sat by the windows. Outside, Velcaris Prime turned slowly below them. The planet's surface was deadly. Storms that could tear apart buildings. Creatures that made the alien cadets look small. And somewhere down there, caves that went miles deep. You always sit alone. Mira slid into the seat across from him. The Sylvari scout was thin and covered in fine scales that shifted color slightly. Her eyes were large and could see in the dark. I have been watching you. That sounds creepy when you say it like that, Taejin said. She tilted her head, confused. Creepy? I only mean I find humans interesting. Your species is rare in this sector. How did you get accepted here? Test scores. I am good at strategy, tactics, and problem solving. Just not good at the physical stuff. Most species here value strength above intelligence. They do not understand that intelligence can be a weapon too. Mira pulled out a datapad. I have been researching humans. Did you know your species survived by being persistence hunters? You are not fast, but you can run longer than almost any other creature on your planet. You do not give up. That does not help me in combat trials. Maybe it does. Maybe you are training wrong. Maybe you should not try to fight like a Tharnki or a Vrakan. Maybe you should fight like a human. She stood up. Think about it. Good night, Taejin. 2 days later, the Academy held a mandatory survival exercise. All first-year cadets had to spend 48 hours on the planet's surface. The goal was simple: survive and return to the extraction point. Teams of 5 would work together. Taejin's team included Kale, which was just his luck. Also a Vrakan named Hyunwoo who barely spoke, a nervous Feln who kept checking his equipment, and Mira. They dropped from orbit in a shuttle that shook so hard Taejin thought his teeth would fall out. The planet's surface was worse than Taejin imagined. The air was breathable but tasted like metal. The sky was dark red. Wind howled across rocky plains. In the distance, mountains rose like jagged teeth. "We head for those caves," Kyle said, pointing at dark holes in a nearby cliff. "Shelter from the wind. We rest, then move to extraction point tomorrow." Nobody argued. Kale might be a bully, but he knew survival tactics. They hiked for 3 hours. The wind got worse. Then the storms came. Ion storms were common on Velcaris Prime. The Academy warned them. But warnings did not prepare anyone for the reality. Lightning that was not really lightning split the sky. The air itself seemed angry. Visibility dropped to nothing. "Stay together," Mira shouted, but the wind ate her words. Taejin stumbled. The ground was slick with something that was not quite water. He fell behind. Tried to catch up. Called out for his team. But the storm was too loud. When the lightning flashed, he saw them disappear into a cave entrance far ahead. He ran, slipped, his ankle twisted wrong. Pain shot up his leg. He collapsed, sliding down a slope he had not seen in the dark. Rocks cut his hands. He tumbled for what felt like forever. When he finally stopped, Taejin lay at the bottom of a ravine. Above him, the storm raged. His ankle screamed with pain. His communicator was smashed. He was alone, injured, with no idea which direction his team went. He dragged himself toward a dark opening in the ravine wall. A cave, shelter. He crawled inside, every movement agony. The cave was deep and dark. He had a small light on his belt, but the battery was low. He needed to save it. Taejin leaned against the cold stone wall. His ankle was definitely broken. His hands bled. He was alone on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. This was how he would die. Not in combat, not doing anything brave, just lost and broken in a cave. That was when he heard breathing. Not his breathing. Something else. Something big. Deep in the cave, something moved. Taejin froze. His hand went to his light, but he was too scared to turn it on. If there was a predator in here, light might make it attack. The breathing got closer. Heavy footsteps. Not human footsteps. Not any footsteps Taejin recognized. Too many legs, maybe. Or something that dragged itself. In the darkness, he heard claws scraping stone, then he saw eyes. 4 of them. Massive. They glowed faintly in the dark like dying embers. They were easily 8 feet off the ground. Whatever this creature was, it was enormous. Taejin pressed himself against the wall. Maybe if he did not move, it would not see him. Maybe it would leave. Maybe he would die quickly. The creature moved into what little light came from the cave entrance. Taejin's breath stopped. It was huge, 12 feet tall at least, covered in black scales that seemed to absorb light. 4 eyes that looked at him with intelligence, not just hunger. Claws as long as Taejin's forearm. A massive jaw that could bite him in half without effort. Taejin knew what this was. Every cadet learned about them in xenobiology class. Kravix, the galaxy's apex predator. So dangerous that Galactic Union law forbade them from joining the military. So deadly that most species would rather destroy an entire planet than risk a Kravix infestation, and one was staring right at him. The Kravix lowered its massive head, sniffed. Its nostrils were as big as Taejin's fists. It smelled like something old and dangerous, like metal and earth and blood. Taejin waited to die. But the Kravix did not attack. Instead, it made a sound, low, rumbling, almost like it was asking a question. It tilted its head, those 4 eyes focusing on Taejin's broken ankle. Then, impossibly, the creature gently pushed Taejin with one massive claw. Not hard, just enough to point him toward the cave entrance, away from the deeper tunnels where something moved in the absolute darkness. Something that even this monster seemed to consider dangerous. The Kravix nudged him again, more insistent this time. Its meaning was clear. Leave this cave. Go back outside. Stay away from what lives deeper down. Taejin did not argue. He crawled toward the entrance, dragging his broken ankle. The storm had passed. Dawn light was starting to break. Behind him, the Kravix watched until he was outside. Then it retreated back into darkness. Taejin collapsed on the rocks outside. His team found him 3 hours later. delirious and raving about a giant monster that saved his life. They thought he was hallucinating from pain and dehydration. The medics agreed when they took him back to the station. Nobody believed him. Why would they? Kravix did not help people. Kravix killed people. Everyone knew that, but Tajin knew what he saw. And sometimes, late at night in the medical bay, he looked out the window at the planet below, at the caves. Tajin spent 3 days in the medical bay. The healers fixed his broken ankle easily. Their technology could repair almost any injury, but they could not fix the damage to his reputation. The human went crazy on the planet. Cadets whispered in the halls, started seeing monsters that do not exist. Maybe the pressure broke him. Maybe humans are too weak mentally too. Even Mira seemed uncertain when she visited. She sat by his bed with her datapad, scales shifting colors nervously. There are no records of Kravix on Velkarus Prime, she said quietly. The last confirmed sighting in this sector was 20 years ago. Are you sure about what you saw? I know what I saw, Tajin said. It was real. It saved me. Mira did not argue, but she did not look convinced either. When Tajin returned to training, things were worse. Kale made sure everyone knew about the human who hallucinated monsters. Other cadets avoided him. Even Dabin looked at him with something like pity. You have 12 days until combat trials, she told him after a particularly bad training session. You need to focus. Forget about what happened on the planet. Just train, so Tajin trained. He pushed himself harder than ever. Got up before dawn, stayed late after other cadets left. The results were still terrible, but at least he was trying. At least he was not giving up. On the 5th night, Tajin trained alone in the combat arena. The station ran on night cycles when most cadets slept. The arena was empty, quiet except for the hum of equipment. Tajin practiced basic strikes against a training dummy, over and over. His fists hurt. His body was exhausted. He collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. This was pointless. He could train forever and still would not be strong enough. Biology was biology. Humans were weak compared to warrior species. No amount of practice would change that. That was when he noticed something odd. His water bottle was full. He was certain he had emptied it an hour ago. And the training dummy had moved. It was positioned at a different angle, one that actually made it easier to practice certain strikes. Tajin stood slowly. The arena had observation decks above, but they were dark. Still, he felt watched. Not in a threatening way, more like someone was studying him. Hello? He called, his voice echoed. No response, he went back to training. Tried to ignore the feeling, but over the next few nights, more strange things happened. Equipment moved between sessions. Water bottles refilled. Once, he found scratches on the floor that looked like claw marks, leading from a ventilation shaft to the observation deck. On the 8th night, Tajin broke down. He had failed another practice simulation. 8 days until trials. Nothing was improving. He was going to get expelled. Maybe Dabin was right. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe he did not belong here. He sat on the training mat, head in his hands, too tired to move, too frustrated to think. A shadow fell over him. Tajin looked up. His breath caught. Standing above him, impossibly large in the arena, was the Kravix from the cave. The creature was even more massive inside the station. Its scales reflected the arena lights like dark mirrors. 4 eyes looked down at him with clear intelligence. You are real, Tajin whispered. The Kravix rumbled. The sound vibrated through the floor. It was not aggressive, more like acknowledgement. The creature moved past Tajin to the training dummy. With one massive claw, it adjusted the dummy's position. Then it looked back at Tajin and made a gesture with its head. Try again. Tajin stood on shaking legs. This made no sense. Kravix were killers. Everyone knew that. But this one was helping him train. I do not understand, Tajin said. Why are you helping me? The Kravix tilted its head, made a sound that might have been frustration at not being able to explain. It moved to the side of the arena and watched. Waiting. Tajin approached the dummy. Threw a punch like he had been taught. The Kravix made a low growl. Not right. It moved forward, surprisingly gentle for something so huge. It touched Tajin's shoulder with one claw, adjusted his stance, pushed his elbow slightly, changed the angle of his hips, then it stepped back. Try again, Tajin tried. The punch felt different. More efficient, less wasted movement. The Kravix rumbled approval. They trained like that for hours. The Kravix did not speak, but it did not need to. It showed Tajin how to move. Not like the academy taught, Not brute force, but like a hunter, using momentum, targeting weak points, moving efficiently instead of powerfully. When dawn light started coming through the arena windows, the Kravix retreated. It moved toward the ventilation shaft with impossible grace for something so large. Before it disappeared, it looked back at Taijin, made a sound that might have been a promise. "I will return." Then it was gone. The next day, Taijin performed marginally better in training. Not good, not even average, but slightly less terrible. Instructor Hyunwoo noticed. "Your technique improved," the Frakken said, his forearms crossed. "Slightly." "What changed?" "I practiced at night," Taijin said carefully. "Practice alone rarely helps. But continue. You need every advantage." The instructor walked away. Kale noticed too. After training, the Tharnki cornered Taijin in the equipment room. "You are hiding something," Kale said. His amber eyes glowed with suspicion. "Nobody improves overnight. Especially not weak humans." "I just practiced more," Taijin said. "I do not believe you, and I am going to prove you are still worthless." Kale stepped closer. His claws extended slightly. "I challenge you. Tomorrow evening. Informal combat match, unless you are too scared to accept." An informal match was not official, but it was binding. If Taijin refused, he would be labeled a coward. If he accepted, Kale would destroy him in front of everyone. "Either way he lost, I accept," Taijin heard himself say. Kale smiled. It was not nice. "Good, see you tomorrow, human. Try not to break too easily." That night, Taijin returned to the arena. The Kravix was already there, waiting in the shadows. As soon as Taijin entered, the creature emerged. It seemed agitated. It had heard about the challenge somehow. The Kravix moved close to Taijin, lowered its massive head until they were eye level. Then it did something incredible. It pressed its forehead against Taijin's, gently. The contact was warm. The Kravix's eyes closed. It made a deep rumbling sound that vibrated through Taijin's whole body. Taijin did not know what it meant, but it felt important. Sacred somehow. When the Kravix pulled back, its eyes opened. It looked at Taijin differently now, more intense, more protective. It spent the rest of the night teaching him. Not just techniques, but how to read an opponent, how to exploit overconfidence, how to survive against someone stronger. The next evening, the combat arena filled with spectators. Word had spread. Everyone wanted to see the human get crushed. Betting pools favored Kale winning in under 30 seconds. Some bets went as low as 10 seconds. Taijin entered the arena. His heart pounded. Across from him, Kale stretched. The Tharnki looked confident. Why would he not? He outweighed Taijin by 100 pounds. He had claws. He had training. He had every advantage. Instructor Hyunwoo served as referee. He looked at Taijin with something like concern. Or maybe pity. This is an informal match. First to submit or incapacitate wins. No killing blows begin. Kale attacked immediately. A straightforward rush meant to overwhelm. Taijin did not try to match his strength. He remembered what the Kravix taught him. He dodged sideways, used Kale's momentum against him. The Tharnki stumbled past, the crowd murmured. That was not supposed to happen. Kale turned, angry now. He attacked again, more carefully this time. But Taijin did not fight back the way Kale expected. He targeted nerve clusters, dodged instead of blocking, used the environment. 30 seconds passed. Then 1 minute. Then 2. Taijin was losing. He took hits. His ribs hurt. His face was bleeding. But he stayed on his feet. He kept moving. The Kravix had taught him that surviving was sometimes more important than winning. 3 minutes. 4. 5. The crowd grew louder. Some were cheering for Kyle, but others started cheering for Taijin, not because he was winning, but because he refused to fall. Kale was getting frustrated. His attacks became sloppier, more aggressive, less controlled. Taijin saw it, remembered the Kravix's lessons. When an opponent gets angry, they make mistakes. Kale overextended on a powerful strike. Taijin ducked under it, used Kale's own momentum, redirected him into the arena wall. Hard. The Tharnki hit with a metallic crash. He did not fall, but he staggered. For the first time in the fight, he looked uncertain. The crowd went silent, then erupted. This was not supposed to happen. Humans did not make Tharnki stagger. Before the fight could continue, alarms blared, loud, urgent. Red lights flashed throughout the arena. The automatic announcement system activated. Alert, unauthorized life form detected in facility. All cadets evacuate to designated safe zones. This is not a drill. Security forces rushed into the arena, weapons ready. They scanned the room with detection equipment. One of them pointed up, there, in the observation deck. Everyone looked up. In the shadows above, massive eyes reflected the emergency lights. The Kraviks had been watching. The entire time, watching Taijin fight, making sure he was safe. Now those eyes moved forward. The creature emerged from the shadows, 12 feet of black scales and deadly claws. Every cadet in the arena froze. Every predator species recognized what they were looking at. Their instincts screamed danger. Instructor Hyunwoo raised his weapon. His forearms were steady, but his voice shook slightly. The academy went into lockdown. Every corridor sealed. Every cadet restricted to quarters. Security forces swept the entire station, deck by deck, searching for the Kraviks. They found nothing. No tracks, no signs. Just empty ventilation shafts and confused equipment readings. Taijin sat in an interrogation room. Cold metal chair. Bright lights. Across the table, Commandant Yuri stared at him with her ice-blue eyes. The Vulcan leader was known for two things: brilliant strategy and zero tolerance for lies. How long have you known about the Kraviks? Her voice was calm. That somehow made it worse. Since the survival exercise. It saved me in the caves, and you said nothing. A Galaxy-class predator was on this station, and you stayed silent. Nobody believed me when I reported it before. You thought I was hallucinating. Yuri leaned forward. That creature could kill everyone on this station. Do you understand that? Kraviks are banned from Union space for a reason. They are weapons. Living weapons. It has not hurt anyone. It helped me. It protected me. You do not know that. You do not know what it wants. Yuri pulled up a holographic display. Images of Kraviks' attacks from decades past. Destroyed colonies. Shattered ships, bodies, so many bodies. This is what Kraviks do, Cadet Taijin. This is what they are. Not this one. This one is different. The door opened. Instructor Hyunwoo entered, his forearms carrying datapads. Commandant, security found something in the lower levels. Old living quarters. Someone has been down there. For years, possibly. Yuri stood. Looked at Taijin. Made a decision. You are coming with us. If this creature responds to you, maybe you can convince it to leave peacefully. If you cannot, security has authorization to use lethal force. Do you understand? I understand. They went down. Deep into the station's condemned sections. Areas damaged by a reactor accident 20 years ago. The lights barely worked. Pipes dripped. Everything smelled like rust and old metal. Security spread out ahead, weapons ready. Taijin walked with Yuri and Hyunwoo. Behind them, Mira had somehow talked her way into joining. She carried a translation device and scanning equipment. If Kraviks live this long in one place, there must be a reason. Mira whispered to Taijin. They are nomadic by nature. They do not stay anywhere unless something keeps them. They found the living quarters, an old observation lounge that once had windows looking out at space. The windows were sealed now, covered by emergency plating. But someone had made this place into a home, not furniture. Kraviks did not use furniture, but there were collected items. Academy badges from different years, training equipment, books and datapads, and pictures. So many pictures. Taijin picked up one photo. It showed a human woman in a research uniform, standing next to a younger Kraviks. Both were in front of the academy. The woman was smiling. The Kraviks looked almost happy. Dr. Jiwon, Yuri said quietly. She had picked up another photo. She was a xenobiology researcher here 20 years ago. She died in the reactor accident. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The Kraviks emerged from the shadows. Slower this time. Not threatening, just sad. It moved to the photos, touched them gently with one massive claw. Made a sound that was almost like crying. Mira activated the translation device. It was old technology, designed for first contact situations. The device hummed, processing the Kraviks' vocalizations. A rough, synthesized voice came from the device. Friend lost, stay, remember. You stayed here because of her, Taijin said. Because she was your friend, the Kraviks looked at him. Made more sounds. The translator worked harder. She, not monster, see me. Teach words. Teach kindness. She die, save eggs. Kraviks eggs. She die for us. Yuri stepped forward carefully. Her hand was not on her weapon. I remember that day. The reactor breach. Dr. Jiwan went back into the contaminated zone. We thought she was crazy. She said there were hatchlings trapped inside. We did not believe her. By the time we realized she was right, it was too late to save her. The Kravix nodded its massive head. Save children? Humans save Kravix children. I stay, protect her memory. Protect humans who brave like her. Is that why you helped me? Taejin asked. Because I reminded you of her? The translator crackled. You small, weak, try anyway. Like her, she's small, weak, kind anyway. You same. Instructor Hyunwoo lowered his weapon. All 4 arms dropped to his sides. This changes things, Commandant. This creature is not a threat. It is a memorial. That does not change Union law. Kravix are not permitted in populated areas. It has to leave. But Yuri did not sound as certain now. The Kravix made a sound. The translator spoke. Cannot leave. She here. Her spirit here. I swore protect. There has to be another way, Taejin said. You cannot kill something for being loyal. For remembering a friend. That is not justice. Yuri started to respond, but alarms cut her off. Different alarms. Not internal security. Perimeter defense. The entire station shook. A voice blared through speakers. All personnel to battle stations. Unidentified vessel detected. Hostile signatures confirmed. They rushed back to the command center. The main display showed a massive ship in orbit. It was organic-looking, part metal and part something alive. Biomechanical. A design nobody in the Union used. What is that? Hyunwoo asked. Mira checked her data. Her scales went pale. Kravix clan ship. The Blood Fang. It is broadcasting on old Kravix war channels. A message came through. The translation was automatic. The voice was harsh, filled with contempt. Prey station. You harbor betrayer. Kravix who shame clan. Who choose weakness. Who protect prey instead of hunt. Give him to us. Or burn. Taejin looked at Yuri, at Hyunwoo, at Mira. Then at the Kravix who had followed them to the command center and now stood at the back of the room. They came for you, Taejin said. The Kravix nodded. Through the translator. My clan. They exile me. I refuse kill mission. Human colony, innocent, I say no. They cast me out. Now they find me. Now they finish. The command staff looked at each other. The unspoken question hung in the air. One Kravix versus the entire station. An easy choice. An obvious choice, hand him over. Save thousands of lives. No, Taejin said. His voice was quiet but firm. Excuse me, cadet. Yuri turned to him. I said no. You cannot give him to them. He chose mercy over violence. He chose to protect others instead of hunting them. If we hand him over now, we are saying his choice was wrong. That strength is the only thing that matters. That protecting others makes you weak. This is not your decision to make, Hyunwoo said. But he did not sound angry. Just tired. Then whose decision is it? Yours, the council? The union? Everyone always makes these decisions. But what about doing what is right? Taejin stepped forward. Dr. G1 died protecting Kravix children. This Kravix refused to kill human colonists. Both of them chose compassion over what was easy. If we give him up now, their sacrifices meant nothing. The room was silent. The Kravix ship transmitted another message. You have 1 hour. Decide. Yuri looked at the tactical display. At the clan ship. At her officers. At the Kravix standing quietly in the corner. At Taejin, a human cadet who should have no voice in this decision but somehow had the only one that mattered. She made her choice. Send a message to the Blood Fang. Tell them we refuse their terms. Tell them this station protects its own. If they want him, they will have to go through us. Hyunwoo's forearms tensed. But he nodded. Mira smiled. About time the message was sent. The response came quickly. Not words, action. The Blood Fang launched assault pods. 12 of them. Each one carrying a Kravix warrior. Each one as deadly as the creature standing in the command center. Each one coming to kill everyone on the station. All personnel to battle stations. Cadets to evacuation zones. Instructors prepare for boarding action. Yuri looked at Taejin. You started this, human. You convinced me to make this choice. I hope you are right. So do I, Taejin said quietly. The Kravix moved to the exit. Before leaving, it looked at Taejin. The translator spoke one last time. Pack family, fight together. Then it was gone, moving through the station toward the outer hull. Toward the coming attack. Toward its former clan members who wanted it dead. The first assault pod hit the hull 5 minutes later. The war had begun. The assault pods tore through the outer hull like claws through paper, Metal screamed. Air rushed out into space before emergency seals activated. 12 Kravix warriors entered the station. Security forces met them first. Brave soldiers with weapons designed to stop anything. The weapons were useless. Kravix scales deflected energy blasts. Kravix speed made targeting impossible. Within minutes, the security teams were scattered, injured, or dead. Tajin watched from the command center. The displays showed carnage spreading through the station. Red dots marking hostile contacts, blue dots marking defenders. The blue dots kept disappearing. They are heading for the main academy grounds, Yuri said. Her voice was steady, but her hands gripped the command console tight. They know where cadets are sheltering. They want maximum casualties to draw out their target. We need to evacuate, Hyunwoo said. All 4 of his arms worked different control panels trying to coordinate the defense. There is no time. Evacuation ships need 30 minutes to launch. We have 10 minutes before they reach the cadets. Yuri looked at Taejin. Where is he? Where is your Kravix? I do not know, he left. He said we would fight together. The displays flickered. One of the hostile markers stopped moving. Then another. Something was meeting the Kravix warriors. Something was fighting them. Mira pulled up camera feeds. There, Section C, Level 3. The screen showed a corridor. 2 Kravix warriors advanced, claws extended, ready to kill. Then a third Kravix dropped from a ventilation shaft above them. Bigger than the others. Black scales instead of the dark red the warriors wore, Rexar. The name came to Taejin suddenly. He had never asked, but somehow he knew. That was the Kravix's name. Rexar fought like a storm. Not with rage, with precision. He was larger than the warriors, but he moved faster. Every strike targeted joints. Every movement created distance. He was not trying to kill them. Just stop them. One warrior went down, leg broken. The second lunged. Rexar caught it, threw it into a wall hard enough to crack metal. Both warriors struggled to rise but could not continue. Rexar moved on, deeper into the station, hunting his former clan members. He is protecting us, Hyunwoo said. The instructor sounded amazed. He is protecting the whole station. 1 against 12, Yuri said. Even with his skill, the numbers will overwhelm him eventually. We need to help. How? Mira asked. Our weapons barely slow them. Our best fighters cannot match them. Taejin stared at the tactical display. An idea formed, crazy, dangerous, maybe impossible. But maybe their only chance? They fight like apex predators, he said. Each one alone. Each one dominant in their space. They do not coordinate. They do not expect coordination. What are you suggesting? Yuri asked. We use the station against them, not weapons. The station itself. Sealed bulkheads, gravity controls, atmospheric systems. We do not fight them directly. We trap them, separate them, control their environment. Hyunwoo leaned over the console. That could work. If we coordinate everyone, cadets, instructors, station crew, use the communication system to direct them in real time. You would need someone to coordinate it all. Someone who understands tactics. Someone who can think several steps ahead. Yuri looked at Taejin. Someone like you, me? I am just a cadet. I failed basic combat trials. You understand something the rest of us missed. Strength is not just about fighting. It is about thinking, about coordinating, about using every advantage. Yuri pulled up the station controls. Can you do this? Taejin looked at the displays. At the Kravix warriors spreading through the station. At Rexar fighting alone. At the hundreds of cadets sheltering in fear. I can try. The command center became a war room. Taejin stood at the main console, displays surrounding him. Hyunwoo coordinated with instructors throughout the station. Mira managed sensor arrays. Yuri authorized every action Taejin called for. 2 hostiles approaching the training arena from different directions. Kale, are you there? Kale's voice came through, shaky but determined. I am here, human. What do you need? Lead your squad to Junction 12. Wait for my signal. When I seal the bulkheads, you will have 1 Kravix trapped in the cargo bay. Vent it to space. You want me to fight a Kravix? No, I want you to outsmart one. There is a difference. Can you do it? A pause. Then, yes, we can do it. Taejin coordinated across the station. Dabin and her team used gravity controls to slow down 2 warriors. Mira guided cadets through maintenance tunnels to avoid hostile zones. Instructor Hyunwoo led a strike team that sealed 3 Kravix in a reinforced training room. It was working. Slowly. Carefully. The Kravix warriors were powerful, but they did not adapt. They fought as individuals. The defenders fought as a coordinated group, but there was one warrior who did adapt. The largest, the most dangerous, Stor, the clan commander. He ignored the traps, smashed through sealed doors, avoided environmental hazards, and he was hunting Rexar specifically. Main observation deck, Mira said. They are going to meet there. Tajin pulled up the camera feed. The observation deck was a huge open space with windows looking out at the planet below. Rexar stood in the center, breathing hard. He had been fighting for almost an hour. Even Kravix got tired. Stor entered from the opposite side, fresh, strong, ready. "Brother," Stor said. The translation came through the station speakers. "You have fallen far, fighting alongside prey, protecting weakness. You shame our ancestors. I protect what deserves protecting. You only know how to destroy. Strength is destruction. The weak deserve death. You forgot this. I will remind you, Stor attacked. The fight was brutal. Both Kravix moved faster than anything that large should move. Claws sparked against scales. The floor cracked under their weight. Windows shattered from the impacts. Rexar was losing. He was tired, injured from earlier fights, and he was still holding back, still trying not to kill his former brother. Stor had no such restraint. A massive strike sent Rexar crashing into a support column. He struggled to rise. Stor advanced slowly, savoring the moment. This is what mercy brings you: weakness, defeat, death. Stor raised his claws for the killing blow. No, Tajin was running before he realized it. Out of the command center, through corridors, toward the observation deck. Tajin, stop. You cannot help him. Yuri's voice followed through the communicator. But Tajin did not stop. He grabbed a maintenance tool from a storage locker, a plasma cutter used for repairs. He modified it quickly, turned it into a makeshift weapon. It would not kill a Kravix, probably would not even hurt one. But maybe it would distract. He burst onto the observation deck. Stor was bringing his claws down toward Rexar's throat. Tajin did not think, just acted. He fired the plasma cutter. The beam struck Stor's shoulder. It barely scorched the scales, but it got his attention. The massive Kravix turned, looked at Tajin, and laughed. A prey thing threatens me? This is what you protect, brother? This pathetic creature? Tajin's legs shook. His hands trembled. Every instinct screamed to run, but he did not move. He stood between Stor and Rexar. He is my family, and humans do not abandon family. Stor moved forward. One casual swipe would end Tajin. They both knew it, but Tajin did not back down. Brave. Stupid, but brave. Stor raised his claw. The claw never fell. Rexar exploded upward using the distraction. Not to kill, to disable. He caught Stor's arm, twisted it behind him, forced him down. A move that caused pain but no permanent damage. Stor struggled. But Rexar was stronger when he stopped holding back. And he had something Stor did not. Something to fight for beyond pride. He had family. Yield, Rexar said. His voice was rough but clear. Stor looked up. At Rexar, at Tajin, at the human who stood willing to die for a Kravix. Something changed in his eyes. I yield. The words came hard, but they came. Rexar released him. Stepped back. Moved to stand beside Tajin, protecting him. Even now, Stor stood slowly. His eyes moved between them. He activated his communicator, spoke in the Kravix war language. Throughout the station, the other warriors stopped fighting, withdrew. They had witnessed their commander's defeat through his communication link. In Kravix culture, that meant the battle was over. You have proven something, betrayer, Stor said. You defeated me without killing me. Your prey friend stood against me without running. This is strength I did not expect. He moved toward the exit, paused. The clan will honor this defeat. We will not return. But remember, brother, you chose your path. Now you must walk it. Prove that your way is truly stronger than ours. Then the Kravix warriors left, gathered at their assault pods, returned to the Blood Fang. The clan ship departed orbit, jumping to hyperspace without another word. The station was saved. Tajin collapsed. The adrenaline left his body all at once. Rexar caught him gently with one massive claw, held him steady, made a sound that was almost like relief. Pack, Rexar said. One word. But it meant everything. Around them, cadets emerged from shelters. Security forces regrouped. The station began counting its casualties. The cost had been high, but they had survived, and they had proven something important. Something the galaxy would not forget. That strength came in many forms, and sometimes the weakest among them could be the strongest of all. 3 weeks after the battle, Velkaris Prime Academy looked different. Repairs were still ongoing. Scorch marks on walls, dented floors, cracked windows. But the changes went deeper than physical damage. The biggest change stood in the main training arena. Rexer was teaching a class. 50 cadets from a dozen different species sat in front of the massive Kravix. Some looked nervous. Most looked fascinated. A few still looked scared. But they all listened. "Strength is not size," Rexar said through the translation device. His voice was getting clearer with practice. "Strength is not claws, not scales, not weapons. Strength is choosing right thing when easy thing is wrong." He gestured to Taejin, who stood off to the side. "This human is small, weak by your measures, but he stood against me when we first met. Stood against my clan. Stood for what he believed. That is true strength," the cadets murmured. Kale raised his hand. The Tharnki looked different now. More thoughtful, less arrogant. How do we develop that kind of strength? Some of us were born as predators. We rely on natural advantages. Natural advantages make you dangerous, but they make you predictable. Prey species survive by being unpredictable, by adapting, by working together. Learn from that. Your claws are weapons, but your mind is weapon too. Use both. Instructor Hyunwoo watched from the observation deck. Beside him, Commandant Yuri reviewed reports on a datapad. "The Galactic Council is still debating his status," Yuri said. "A Kravix with legal rights. Teaching at a Union Academy. Half the council thinks we are insane." "What does the other half think?" Hyunwoo asked. "They think we are brilliant. 12 different species have requested similar programs. They want to learn what we learned. That cooperation beats pure strength." Below, Rexar dismissed the class. Cadets filed out, talking excitedly. Taejin approached the Kravix. Even after weeks, standing next to something so massive still felt surreal. "You are a good teacher," Taejin said. "I learned from best teacher. She taught me kindness has power. Now I teach others." Rexar's 4 eyes looked toward the memorial plaque they had installed. Dr. Jiwon's name engraved in metal, mounted on the wall where everyone could see. "She would be proud of you. She would be proud of us both." Dabin approached them. The senior human cadet had been different since the battle too. Less harsh, more understanding. "Taejin, Commandant Yuri wants to see you. Something about your combat trials." Taejin's stomach dropped. The combat trials. In all the chaos, he had forgotten. He was supposed to pass them or get expelled, and he had missed them completely while coordinating the defense. He walked to the Commandant's office slowly, preparing himself for disappointment. He had saved the station, but rules were rules. He had not completed the required trials. Yuri sat behind her desk. Instructor Hyunwoo stood to one side. Mira was there too, along with several other instructors Taejin recognized. "Cadet Taejin," Yuri began formally. "You missed your scheduled combat trials 3 weeks ago." "Yes, Commandant. I understand if that means expulsion." "Normally, yes. However, the instructors and I have reviewed your actions during the Kravix attack. We have determined that coordinating the defense of an entire station against 12 apex predators qualifies as an acceptable substitute for standard combat trials." Taejin blinked. Had he heard that correctly? "You pass, Cadet. Furthermore, your tactical performance has earned you a special commendation. The Galactic Union is creating a new designation for warriors like you, strategic coordinators, soldiers who win battles not through personal combat, but through leadership and tactics." Hyunwoo stepped forward. "You taught us something important. That strength comes in many forms. A lesson I should have learned long ago." Mira smiled, her scales shifting happy colors. "You also taught us that humans are not weak. You are different. And difference is valuable." Taejin did not know what to say. He had spent months being told he did not belong, that humans were too weak, that he should quit. Now they were telling him he was exactly what they needed. "Thank you, Commandant. I will not disappoint you. You already have not disappointed me." Dismissed, Cadet. Later that evening, Taejin found Kale in the equipment room. The Tharnki was checking his training gear, preparing for tomorrow's session. "I owe you an apology," Kale said without looking up. "I called you weak. Called humans prey animals. I was wrong. You were not completely wrong. Humans are physically weaker than most species here. But you are not weak. You have different strengths. Strengths we need to learn from. Kyle finally looked at him. When you stood against Vexthor, when you refused to run, you showed me something. Courage is not about being fearless. It is about being afraid and acting anyway. I was terrified. Exactly. That makes it braver. Kyle extended his hand. It was a human gesture he had clearly learned specially. Friends? Tajin shook his hand. A Tharnki and a human. Predator and prey. Friends. News of the battle spread across the galaxy. Every species heard about the human who befriended a Kravix, who coordinated a defense that stopped 12 apex predators, who stood willing to die for family that was not even his species. Reactions varied. Some species dismissed it as luck. Others saw it as proof that humans had value beyond their physical limitations. Many wanted to understand how it happened. The Galactic Council debated for weeks. Finally, they reached a decision. Humans would be reclassified. No longer marginal members tolerated out of courtesy, now recognized as strategic species, valuable for their ability to unite different peoples, to find solutions beyond violence, to form bonds across biological divides. It was not perfect. Many species still looked down on humans. Old prejudices did not disappear overnight, but it was progress. 5 years passed. Tajin stood on the bridge of a Union diplomatic vessel. Outside the windows, a disputed colony world spun slowly. 2 alien species had been fighting over it for months. Hundreds dead, thousands displaced. No end in sight until Tajin arrived. He wore the uniform of a Union diplomatic officer now. Not a warrior, not a soldier. Something else. Something new. Behind him, Rexar stood watch. The Kravix was officially his partner and protector, unofficially his family. They had served together for 3 years now. Resolved conflicts that military force could not touch. Proven that different kinds of strength could change the galaxy. Ready? Rexar asked. Ready. Let us see if we can stop this war. They beamed down to the planet's surface. The 2 warring factions met them with weapons drawn. But when they saw a human and a Kravix standing together, working together, protecting each other, something shifted. If those 2 could find common ground, maybe anyone could. The negotiations took 3 days. Difficult days, angry days. But in the end, both sides agreed to peace, not because Tajin forced them, but because he showed them another way. Back on the ship, Rexar rumbled contentedly. Jiwan would be proud. We prove her lesson every day. Kindness has power. Compassion has strength. Do you ever regret it? Giving up your clan? Living among species who once feared you? No regret, I have family now. Real family. Family I choose. Rexar's 4 eyes looked at Tajin warmly. You teach me as much as G1 did. That family is not blood. Family is choice, Tajin smiled. He thought about that first day at the academy. Failing combat trials. Being mocked. Feeling like he did not belong. If someone had told him then that he would end up here, partnered with a Kravix changing the galaxy 1 negotiation at a time, he would have thought they were crazy. But here he was. Proving every day that weakness was not about physical strength, that survival was not about being the biggest or the strongest, that humanity's real power was something else entirely, the ability to connect, to understand, to see past appearances and find common ground, to make family out of strangers, to turn enemies into friends. Other humans had joined the diplomatic corps now, each one paired with species once considered incompatible. Human and Tharnki, human and Vraken, human and dozens of others, all proving the same thing. That strength came in many forms. The galaxy still had wars, still had conflicts, still had species who believed strength only meant the ability to destroy. Change came slowly, but it came. 1 negotiation at a time, 1 friendship at a time, 1 bond at a time, and at the center of it all were humans. The species everyone thought was too weak to matter, too frail to survive among predators. They survived because they refused to accept that strength was only about violence. They thrived because they could make friends with monsters. They changed the galaxy because they understood something fundamental, that the most dangerous strength was not the power to destroy, it was the courage to protect, the wisdom to understand, the stubborn refusal to see others as merely predator or prey. Years later, Tajin stood at a memorial service on Earth. A statue had been erected. Dr. Jiwan, the woman who started it all by showing kindness to a Kravix, Beside her statue stood another one, Rexar immortalized in stone, looking down at her with clear affection. The real Rexar stood beside Taijin, watching the ceremony. Hundreds attended, humans, Kraviks, dozens of other species, all united by the belief that different kinds of beings could choose to be family. She changed everything, Taijin said quietly. No, Rexar rumbled. She started change. We continue it. Every day, every choice, every time we choose compassion over violence, understanding over fear, family over biology, a young human child approached them,